I too applaud you for your intellect, for your willingness to serve. Encourage you greatly on renewables and energy conservation, having helped lead those efforts through the years here. Nuclear, though, big question, both nuclear energy and nuclear weapons. That's kind of my two-pronged approach here this morning. Talk to me, please, about the commitment to closing the fuel cycle since we're moving away from yucca. What we're doing in your budget request to advance the research to demonstrate that that can be done, which we believe at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory can be done pretty quickly. I think that's got great potential. And then you talk about your desire to increase to 20%. Where's the loan guarantee commitment, both in bills we've already seen and in the upcoming bill, to show that the administration wants to see more than a handful of reactors built in order to increase that 20% electricity from nuclear?
Okay, so let me take them in reverse order. The loan guarantee, there are discussions ongoing, active discussions with four of the applicants. We have $18.5 billion. We're proceeding as fast as possible. Hopefully, sometime this summer, we can make announcements. That $18.5 billion can cover 3 or 4. And no more. There are other applicants, and so in order to proceed ahead with more, we would essentially need more money for authorized and appropriated.
And you'll be pursuing that in future years, future
Yes.
bills, future options.
Yes, I think that makes sense. The few other things we're doing. This is the final year, it was mentioned before NP 2010. There were 2 reactors in NP 2010, the AP 1000 and a new GE reactor. We are going to be completing helping Westinghouse finalize, and hopefully it's an NRC decision, but we will be hoping that NRC will be looking favorably on the ability to license that reactor in the U.S. The GE reactor is a slightly different matter. GE has temporarily put it on hold. A lot of orders for that reactor have been shifted. And so while it's in this state, we didn't think it was prudent to be going ahead because GE is temporarily put it on hold. So we're on hold on that one. If they want to go forward, we will try to help them. In terms of closing the fuel cycle, that's something which I personally think has great opportunity. If nuclear energy is going to be a viable form of carbon-free energy, not only this century, but next century, we have to look towards recycling the fuel. We have to be looking towards developing a new generation of reactors, in particular, a generation of reactors that have a high-energy neutron flux that can burn down the actinide, long-lived actinide components, that we could actually harness much more of the energy in nuclear fuel. We're using less than 10% today, and that's it. And so I think that the possibility is very real. Now, having said that, I would have to say that the current technology that's being used today, for example, in France and in Japan, creates a stream of plutonium, and that is not good. So a plutonium or plutonium oxide gotten into the wrong hands could be bomb material. So what we want to do, so there are 3 prongs. We want to spend research in developing a proliferation-resistant method of recycling the fuel. And if we get that method and it looks economically viable, then it's time to pilot, not before. So that's one thing. We are looking at, so we're going to be researching proliferation-resistant types of ways of recycling fuel. As I said before, we're investing in advanced reactors and advanced reactor designs that go beyond things like the Westinghouse reactor. And so that's something that we feel very positive about. Now, the good news is for the next couple of decades, we have enough reactor fuel. And so we need not rush in to starting to pilot something prematurely. There was a National Academy of Science report on this issue, In fact, the whole GNEP issue, it came out very positively on everything except piloting a fuel recycling plant at this time. Certainly the international cooperation in trying to make sure that the resurgence of nuclear power in the world, civilian nuclear power, is done correctly, and the international collaboration, all these things came out very positively. But that one thing, they said, wait, let's do some more work on it.
Well, let's remember that the first 100 reactors were built in 20 years in this country. We know a whole lot more about it now than we did then, and we can build another 100 reactors in the next 20 years, as Senator Alexander said last week, a whole lot easier than we built the first 100 reactors. And never been an accident, never been a death associated with nuclear energy in this country. So I think time is of the essence. I hope that the research that you're talking about doesn't slow the process of bringing new electricity online if we're going to be competitive. The renewable frontier is great, but we're not where we need to be right now, and we all know that. So I just want to encourage you to push. Second thing on this New York Times story, the DBT, the design basis threat, moves since September the 11th. Now, NNSA is part of DOE, but it's separate, and I frankly think it's worked pretty well. So you're going to have to, maybe following this story, I hope, move a little bit into that national security piece of your responsibility to get to the bottom of this. I hope you'll come to Oak Ridge. I hope you'll go to 9212, which is a building there at Y12 that you won't like. You'll say this is not adequate. It would be replaced by the uranium processing facility, which is on the drawing board, so to speak, but the budget request is not sufficient to maintain the level of talent that we have designing the UPF. But this may cause you to take a harder look at this, even this story. So I'm always looking for the silver lining. The DBT, the design basis threat, could very well be modified just as a result of this story on what kind of security precautions you need to protect our stockpile of highly enriched uranium. So I would encourage you to come take a second look. I understand that the administration is underfunded the UPF design. We've made a pretty strong case at this committee it needs to be funded. 15 members show up today, though. It speaks volumes about their interest in what you're doing and the energy piece of this. And I know that you definitely have got a signature issue on the energy side, but the weapons side here is going to need your attention, obviously, from this story and more. And then finally, on pensions, I read where you are looking at trying to supplement some of the loss of pension revenue, I think, for the people that work for the Department of Energy. And I want to ask on behalf of a whole slew of retirees that are out there that haven't had any update in their pension benefits in a long, long time, will you consider looking at that while you're looking at the pension, the pension funds of existing workers?
Yes, I think it's actually part and parcel of the whole package. It's the current workers and the former workers with regard to the pension exposures when the market crashed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.